I'm
Hello,
never really
you.
sure.
Hello, you. How the hell are you? Thank you very much for letting us be on your device. You are nice.
Yep. And hello, who's here already? PBR and Fox of Fate.
I've got to
Yes.
put every time I do anything, it says go private, and I'm not a private person. I'm a very live person.
Yes. No. This is
Well,
there is a private chat thing, but that's a text only thing. I don't think you sort of get on the vidya with that.
but
Um,
I don't do text only because I'm not very good at text only. You know
no.
what happens is
Yeah.
boss of the house will do his Facebook. I don't do Facebook.
I know.
Because when I do Facebook, it takes me 8 hours to go through one bit of the
Mm,
homepage or my
mm.
wall, I think you call it. And then when I refresh, there's a whole fucking new wall. And I can't follow it because it takes me hours and hours and hours. When I read a newspaper, it takes me 8 hours to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they give you a new newspaper. So I'm going, what the fuck?
Yes.
I already read one. Can we get one next week? And
Yes.
then effectively, I can't read the comments on the side, but I
Yeah.
still love you, Fox of Fate and PBR Street Gang and Heist Connell. See what I
Yes.
did there? I
Yeah.
read all the names,
Very
and
good.
that was very good. I don't know what they said underneath
Yeah.
because I
Well,
can't read
that's
that
why,
far.
when one's pertinent, I put it up on the screen so it's easier for you to see.
Oh, how nice is that? He's thanking us for being on his devices. No, thank you, Heist, for letting us be on your device. Because, we just go blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And
And
High
I've
Staff has
got a
joined us as
story to
well.
tell you today, but we'll do that later.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I was just going to say, Grandpa, that the wall on Facebook was about 10 iterations ago. And I believe the kids call it a feed now.
Feed. It's a
Hmm,
feed now. But
hmm.
back in my day, it was a wall, and if you wanted your grandma to say it, there could be people that write things like shit, fuck, damn. And your
Yeah.
grandma would be going, I don't think I like those people.
No.
No, I don't think I
No.
like your friends. And you go, no, they're not really my friends. They're just associates.
Yeah.
And I had to make a big decision years and years and years ago. Mrs. AIDzee, I don't have a Mrs. AIDzee anymore. I've got a boss of the house now. Mrs. AIDzee made me a Facebook page. And the
Hmm.
thing is, back in those days, if you're a comic, you had to be nobody's friend or everybody's friend. And I just went, I can't be everybody's friend because they
Hmm.
say things like, my update, I just ate a piece of cake. And you go,
Yeah.
that's good. My update, I just had a shed. That's fine. But everyone's updating and they're taking pictures of food and their
Yes.
kids, and it's like, I love yous, but give me a go here. And I
Yeah.
couldn't really give pictures because my teeth, which is nice
Yes.
now, because they're false, were just green and falling out, and occasionally they'd
Yeah.
explode. And then I
Yeah.
had a big thing on my cheek which exploded, which was fantastic. I got to tell you. They X-rayed it a couple of times. G'day, angry. G'day, all, and most glorious day to AIDzee. Oh, thank you. It wasn't a really glorious day because something
No, you've got a
coming up.
story to tell.
I've
Yes.
got a story to tell. I'm going to wait until a few more people have joined
Yes.
us,
I'm
and
going to
then I'm
save
going to
up the
tell the
story.
story.
Yeah, because it's
And
a pretty special
we've
story.
myself and Angry have researched a thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I know, right? I know, right? We did a live stream thing, and it's not
Mm.
just us talking shit all night. We researched a thing, which is a bit
Yeah.
full on,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
I
'Cause,
read that whole thing.
yeah.
Angry. It took me 2 days, but I read the whole
Yeah.
thing. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
AZ wanted some guidance, and every now and then I see something and went, "Oh yeah, this'll work." And I found something that I thought you'd latch onto, and it turns out I was right.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
It's
oh.
it's
It's so
it's in
full
the
on.
title. Australians would probably guess at what we're talking about. Talking about Jim's white supremacy. As a teaser, again, we're going to wait for a little while to get seriously into it. But it is about Jim's mowing fame. And
Do you know he's one of the biggest franchisees in the world, and
yes,
he pulls in $320 million a year turnover
yeah, which annoys a lot of his franchisees, I think, the way he's
because they're not
structured the
getting any.
contract.
Yeah, because they're getting cool.
But
And
yeah,
please
it's a
go on.
running joke with people that the variations on gyms spawned like mushrooms and into completely unrelated things. Jim's computing and Jim's babysitting, and so you're just
And
wondering when.
Jim's nuclear pile driving.
Yeah, Jim's
Yeah.
brain surgery for beginners. But
Well,
no, we've
well,
actually very interesting article that I got AIDzee to research. Basically, we're getting into Jim's eugenics now. So
and it's really Jim's eugenics.
I
No
know it's
bullshit.
wild.
It's
It's absolutely
really,
wild.
really Jim's eugenics. And this is not a thing that we're just making up for shits and giggles. It's
No, it's
really
real,
Jim's
real.
eugenics.
Hey, how would you pronounce that username? Choking on ashes. It actually means something. There you go.
Choking on ashes. It's like the end of a nuclear war.
Yeah. Suffer, as far as I know, Jim's Australian. Yeah, he started off, his rags to riches story is started off mowing lawns as a uni student and built up
To
a
get through his
clientele.
PhD because they wouldn't pay him
That's
because
right.
his
Yeah, he wasn't just
ideas
a
were
uni
too
student, he was
radical.
doing a
And I
PhD.
know what
Yeah.
his ideas were.
Yes. Yes.
And
And he's had them for a long time. And
and
now he's
he's
rich enough to
now
act on them.
paying people to research his ideas. And so
Yeah.
now they're not going to. He went to La Trobe University and he was doing
Yes.
his PhD and he was defending the first iteration of his PhD. And his peers went, fuck no. No, we're not giving you a PhD
Hmm.
because that's just too much, Jim. You're freaking
Yeah.
us out, man. And so he said his ideas were too radical, too soon. And
Yeah.
it's like they're not soon, buddy. Um, and they've been said before. And so
Yeah.
he's now giving money to scientists at La Trobe
Yeah.
to continue his radical
Yeah.
ideas, which we will get into soon.
I know.
Um,
Although I do like that choking on ashes highlighted choking on the ashes of her enemy. So
oh,
nice. Very,
yeah.
very
Go,
metal.
girl. Oh, that's awesome.
Very metal. I
Oh,
like it.
choking on the ashes of my enemies. Yeah.
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 So
Don't go
yeah.
step correct when you're coming up with choking. Hey, how's your day, man?
Oh, it was good. Just the usual in the fun and exciting workplace. Yeah. The blah, 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 blah. Do you know the VidCon is on this weekend?
Ah, right. Oh,
So
that's
there'll be a few people around for YouTubey things this weekend.
yeah, right. I won't
So
go.
no, you wouldn't like it,
I wouldn't
people.
like it and can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Yeah. Unless you're lucked into an unusual deal, it isn't cheap.
No,
Um,
it's worth it. I mean, I guess if you're into the YouTube in a big way, it's worth
mm,
it. And
yeah.
you might even see a green, but a green brother, I should say.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's
I
it's
did. I did the groupie thing last year and got a selfie with Hank.
mm,
I guess I've got it. If
love
I
a
look
bit of
in
that.
my selfie library,
Yeah.
look how much he's taller than me, but how much bigger is my head than Hank's?
Well, clearly you've got a bigger brain,
Yeah,
and
a thicker skull or something.
clearly you've got to use that brain
Yes,
oh, look, I've had a haircut and a shave. I don't look so
you have. You
homeless.
actually look pretty sharp.
I don't look so homeless anymore.
Yeah, I might do that tomorrow myself. Even color it.
Right.
See, all my natural silver glories come out.
Mine's
Uh,
getting a little bit
yeah.
salt and pepper.
Yes. So I
Yeah,
might even
hopefully,
color it to look youthful for VidCon. I don't know.
yeah, hopefully I'm looking a little bit dilf. but not always.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of folks have joined us, and that's really nice. Thank you, guys. It's good to
Do you
see
want to?
you.
You asked me how my day was. Do you want to tell the people about your day?
I will tell the good people about my day. So
Yeah.
I've got up fairly early today,
Mm.
and I've gone to do the things I've got to do in the morning, and
Mm.
that went actually long. They kept me waiting a long time today, about 40 minutes.
That's not good.
So then, yeah, it is what it is. And then I came home, and I was, into it. I was motivated, and I've been researching American attitudes to themselves,
Mm.
British attitudes to themselves,
Okay.
American attitudes to the British, British attitudes to the Americans, American attitudes to everyone else, and
Okay.
British attitudes to everyone else. So I've been
Okay.
spending a lot of my days doing that.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
I cut myself off
Yeah.
deliberately at
Yeah.
midday and started researching Jim,
Yes.
and down the rabbit hole we went.
Yes.
Then, as I was starting to construct how to pick up chicks, bow chicka wow
Mm.
wow, I heard a noise on the roof because there's a roof at
Yeah.
my
AIDzee's
place,
like in this apartment building, and you can go up to the roof
and
of
you
it.
can go up the roof. It's very nice. Anyway, I heard this big crash, and I'm going, what the fuck? And broken glass. I'm going, what the fuck? So I go up there, and there's a couple of kids still with their school uniforms on because that's genius. And I'm going, rah, 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 you're not supposed to be here, rah, rah, rah. And one of them pulls a knife, and I've had that happen before. Now, when these folks pull a knife, it's usually out of fear, and they're usually a long way away. So when someone
Mm.
pulls a knife and they're a long way away, it's something to flash. It's something to,
Mm.
don't come near me because I got a knife.
Mm.
And, that's all right. By the way, at this point in time, I would like to recommend no one ever get into a knife fight. You can be stabbed 12 times in 1 second, and you
Yeah.
will lose. If you see someone coming close to you with a knife, run away. If you've got a knife and they've got a knife, run away. Yeah, don't get involved in a knife fight. No, it's just
It
don't.
rarely works out like the movies, basically.
No, doesn't work out like the movies. You don't have the moves. Believe me, you don't have the
Mm.
moves. Unless you've been doing Tai Chi for like 30 years, you can't even block.
Mm.
So this kid's pulled out a knife, and usually they're far enough away, and I never block the door so they can get out. And I
Mm.
usually convince them to run away. Um, anyway, this kid starts to come toward me.
Mm.
Not a good sign. And I managed to slow him down with, come on, guys, look, the police are already coming. You got to bail now, and for Christ's sake, lose that friggin' knife because you're underage, and if they catch you with that, it's 5 years in juvie immediately, which will suck. So for God's sake, just ditch it somewhere. But yeah, guys, you better bail. And I tried to get a photo of them, but I just didn't get a good angle.
Mm.
Yeah, I was quite shaky for the rest of the day. And I only got a little bit of how to pick up chicks, bow, chicka, wow, wow. But
Yeah.
I'm sort of going to do a quick bit and an overview
Yeah.
of the sort of the 5-minute bits we're going to do over time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was my day.
Yeah.
And I yes have essentially yeah, no, still a bit shaky. Might have to go
Yeah.
off camera a
Understandably.
little bit a couple times to sort myself out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll I'll say something about that, and then
Yeah.
my man will hold down the fort, and then
Yeah.
and I know now how to go off the 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 studio because there's
Oh, okay.
buttons down here that
Yeah.
says turn the camera off, turn the mic off, and
Yeah.
then I can come back when I'm ready,
Yes.
and we don't
Oh,
have to
okay. Well,
shut
that's
the
cool.
thing down. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't have to shut down anything,
Yeah.
and then I can just come back and go,
That's good.
yeah, I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorted. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good. Yeah, like that,
Yes.
and take it on Australia, climb that
Yeah.
mountain.
They keep adding features to this platform, which is quite good.
Mm.
Although the good people will be watching us on YouTube, so you may not realize we're using a third-party platform
Third
to
party
do.
platform.
It's called StreamYard because YouTube decided to make it super fucking difficult, and they killed off Google Hangouts. Doesn't exist anymore, and they were
Yeah,
saying, "Oh,
no one
use
was.
this encoding or this basically difficult shit." And I'm old and hate learning new things, and all the methods they said to do it is hard to learn. But then I found, I don't know who pointed it out to me or if I found it by search, StreamYard, really easy. And look, it's Juno Dog at 4 in the morning.
Hey, Juno Dog, thanks so much for joining us at 4 o'clock in the morning. He somehow showed up at last.
I think I still have, I'm trying to think, the newspaper Juno Dog sent me, her local paper, and this is a few years old,
Yeah,
it's around here somewhere, did a 1st of April edition.
right.
And the entire paper was April Fool's stuff.
Wow.
It was quite an undertaking.
Yeah, yeah. That's like that's like a full on thing. It's like everybody's working hard the week before to make that happen.
Yeah, like the front page was something about a school getting moved, and I'm sure the jokes made sense locally. Like I think it was suggesting the kids had to travel 100 miles to school. But there's all this one that looked like they were turfing out a librarian, and she's really sad. And I was going, "That's a shit photo." What is? And I had to read like 3 articles before I went, "Oh, it's a April 1st edition," and the entire paper, including the horoscopes and ads and everything.
Oh wow. Oh
Oh,
wow.
okay. Genetics says there was a section in the middle that was regular news. It all got so weird at that point I couldn't tell the difference. But
Wow. Right. Okay. Yep. Yep. And regular news is weird.
yeah,
I've,
absolutely.
I've been listening to a few podcasts lately, and they isolate news,
Yeah,
and you listen to it and go, "What?"
yeah, exactly.
Um, and I listened to one podcast, and what they specialize in is they they take United States advertising
Yeah,
um, for medicines, and in
yes.
the US, you've got to list the side effects
Oh,
of
yeah, the
the
medication
medicine
ones. Yeah,
on 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 any advertisements,
and the voices
and
are really fast.
the voices are really fast, and often one of the side effects is death.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they
Oh,
go,
side effects
you
include
know,
death.
yeah, loose bowels, rash, heart attack,
Yeah,
and death. And
yeah.
it's like what, you
Well,
know?
look, everyone's rocking. Sorry, I just want to say hi to Angel of R6 and Pugwash and Justin. People coming in all the
Hey,
time. Nice.
hey guys, it's
But
so
yeah,
very nice to see you. Thanks for coming.
I
Good
remember
show.
back in, the olden days, someone would have, I remember Casimir at college got a video, whether he was in the US or someone else did it and said, just videotaped a couple of hours of TV. And all he really wanted to watch was the commercials because
Yeah,
compared
yeah.
to our commercials, before they deregulated our advertising market and allowed American commercials to be played here,
Mm,
um, American advertising was quite deranged compared to ours.
mm. Yes, yes, it was. And I had a friend who was a comedian in the US, and occasionally he would send me. This is back in the old days of the internet. He would send
Yeah.
me zipped files
Mm.
of advertisements in the US, and I would have to play them on a very early version of VLC.
Yeah.
And some of the crap that was going on in these ads was just like it was like hair raising. Um, and he explained to me the Walmart phenomenon.
Oh yeah,
Um,
which is totally alien to
it's
Australians. Yeah.
we don't have anything like that. We have the closest thing we have to it is Kmart, but it's way
Kmart
smaller.
or Big W, yeah.
Yeah,
Which
it's
a
way
tenth
smaller.
the size. A tenth
Yeah,
the size.
yeah, tiny. And then you've got Walmart and the people that are in Walmart, and
Yes, the people of Walmart, yes.
and my comic friend was saying, here is the ad for Walmart, which is all glitzy and hey, it's
Yeah,
Walmart and we're all friendly and everything's cheap and it's going to be great. And then you
yeah,
go, and then he was explaining what happens in Walmart, and he was saying that every day, every single day, someone takes a dump on somewhere in the
yeah,
aisles,
yeah,
and like every single day, someone shits
yeah,
in the store, and it's like, really? And he's going, yeah, really.
yeah.
And then he sent me videos of Las Vegas, people playing the slot machines, and this
Yes,
guy's playing two slot machines at once, right?
yeah,
And then uh, he basically, so he's sitting on one stool, then he's sitting on the other stool, and then
yeah.
at one point he's sitting between two stools. Down goes the decks, dump. Up goes the decks, and he keeps on playing like
Oh
nothing's
no.
happening. And it was like,
No.
this is all caught on security camera.
There's,
And
there's hmm,
mm,
certain bits of humanity get left behind, don't they?
yep, yep.
Actually,
And
that's a very gross example of Vegas. I was thinking my favorite security camera Vegas footage ever saw was when there was a reasonably significant earth tremor. Didn't actually, I don't think it brought any buildings down, but they shook it, and it was in a big old casino that's got chandeliers and shit and lots of it. And because casinos are so noisy, all the slot machines are going bing, 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 bong, bong,
yeah,
bong, as Donald Trump would describe it, and very noisy, very noisy, very brightly lit. And then the whole place shakes. The chandeliers shake. Everything's wobbling. Everyone stops gaming. The shake goes on for like 5 seconds, which seems like a long time if you're in the middle of it. It
yeah.
goes shake, shake, and everyone's going, ooh, shake. And then the shake stops and there's silence because everyone's like, what the fuck? There's 2 seconds silence. Everyone's like, what? And then everyone goes, well, the building hasn't fallen down. Straight back to the gaming.
Straight
It was
back.
like noisy, 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 shake, 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 scream, we're all going to die. Shaking stops, 2 seconds silence, and everyone goes, well, we're not dead, back to the gaming.
Well, I was in the casino we have here in Melbourne, and there's a gazillion pokie machines, and
Yes,
there's lots of gaming tables, and they
yes,
have different games. There's a game in Australia called Two Up.
yes,
I'm not going to explain it, but it is the most fair gambling game in the
mm,
world. You have an actual chance of winning, right?
yes,
And they had Two Up rings in the casinos. Then they got rid of them because there's not enough of a house advantage. There is a house advantage.
yes,
It's
there is.
it's a 0.5%. You
Yes,
will win, but all the other games are set at 2.5%, and the casino wasn't happy with their 0.5%, so they got rid of it. Anyway, I was in the casino, and one guy got the shits at
yeah,
one of the one of the poker machines, and he's
yeah,
got a coin
yeah,
and slammed it into the glass of the machine. And he
yeah.
slammed it so hard that it's cracked the glass, but
Oh
it's
dear.
also made a sound like a gunshot, right?
Yes,
Everybody sort of stops, looks around. Oh, there's no gunshot now.
yeah.
Straight back to the,
Oh
and it was
yeah,
like amazing because I just happened to see this guy do it, and I went, bloody hell, that's a loud sound. Because
yeah.
it might have been a CRT monitor, and he might have made it implode, and that's a huge noise.
Or even just, it's
Um,
just tempered glass, which is a massive release of tension if it cracks.
yeah, 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 yeah. So it was a big noise, and everybody stopped.
Yeah,
Gunshot. oh, there's no shooter, so we're right. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. And
Yep. It was a bit
don't
wild.
work.
Yeah, it's very talking about two up, which again, without labouring the rules, you throw two coins in the air and you bet on heads or tails. And it was very popular with Australian soldiers in World War One and Two, playing two up. I always remember the line from one of Terry Pratchett's Discworld novels. There's a troll casino in one point, and he goes, Troll gambling's even simpler than Australian gambling. They have a game called One Up, where they throw a rock in the air and take bets on whether it comes down.
Exactly. Which is, very Australian. You've got to be fairly drunk, but not that drunk. Hey, Dr. Obama, good to see ya. Great picture. It's a
Charlie
very
Sheen
smooth
picture.
picture.
Charlie Sheen before he collapsed into substance abuse picture.
Is it Charlie Sheen?
It's Charlie Sheen.
Wow. He was very handsome before he did an AIDzee. Pugwash, that looks way more like me.
Yeah. Are you in a different time zone, or if the aliens come? I'm not sure why he thinks the aliens come forward.
I think I'm in a different time zone because I was watching President Trump talk about time zones, and I realise now that I probably am in a different time zone.
Yeah.
And yes, mind you, I've been off the drugs now for it's coming up for 3 years.
Oh,
do you know?
That's quite the achievement,
isn't it? It'll be 3 years in where are we now? September. It'll be 3 years in October, end of October.
That's when they made codeine prescription only.
No, I was actually off the codeine.
Yeah, but you were preparing for that.
A year and 3 months before the ban came in. And I wasn't preparing for it. It was boss of the house said, "You're not going to fucking do it anymore, or I'll kill you." And he does get quite aggressive. And what happened was 2 weeks after I decided, boss of the house decided I was going off the codeine, I fell over on the road twice running for a bus, and I broke my sternum and cracked a rib. And so I go home, and I've got bits and pieces all out of me, but I patched them up on the bus, freaking everyone out because I had a first aid kit. And I got home and I said to the boss of the house, "Look, I've got broken bones. I think it's only fair that I have a rest on this giving up the codeine thing, because I'm in extraordinary broken bone pain." And boss of the house said, "No." And I went, no. Broken bones. Ow. And he's gone, "No." And I'm going, "Well, because when you break the bones, that's ouch." And he says, "Sternum and a rib." And I'm going, "Yeah, well, you can't bloody plaster them. They've got to heal up on their own. Bugger you." And I've gone, well, that's a bit fucking harsh. But yeah, no, I kept off it, and they healed. Only for me to fall down the stairs.
Oh yeah,
I told you all about that, didn't I?
Yes, the fall down the stairs. Well, look, there you go. Choking on ashes has been clean for 2 years, so that's good.
Well done, Chokin. Well done. It's very difficult to do, I find. And because you go through these periods where you just go, I'd like to get seriously back into the drugs, because it'd be good. And then you go, oh, maybe it wouldn't be so good, because then you'd run out of money and you'd go green again. And it sort of sucks, because there was times there back in the old days, because I was smoking the cigarettes as well. And in Australia, they have every half year, they have a jump by a percentage of tobacco cigarettes, right? So
Oh, yeah, they increase the taxes. Yes.
they increase the taxes. So the idea is that kids under 18 will be no way, shape or form able
Mm.
to afford cigarettes. They might be able to scam them from the shops like we did when we were kids. Because I started smoking when I was 13, and
Yeah.
the age was 16, and I was not 16. Anyway, so basically, now a full pack of normal cigarettes, and they have them in 40, 50s, and 25s. A 25 pack of cigarettes will cost you in some places $40.
Yes.
And that's just an enormous sum of money.
Yeah.
And back in the day when I was still smoking tobacco cigarettes, they were already $25 a packet. And so I was going, because I was smoking nearly 2 packets a day, and I was on welfare, and it wasn't a lot. And there were days there when I was going, right, I can have smokes and drugs, but not medicine or food. Or I
Yeah.
can have smokes and medicine and a little bit of food, or smokes and a little, mostly drugs and some medicine. And I couldn't have them all at once. That was definitely, so I had to ask the question. And it sort of got to the point where I'm going, why am I asking these questions? And finally, the food had to go. It just had to go.
You
And
got me. You got me.
no, but I was just looking at it and going, fuck, I'm
Yeah.
screwed here. And they changed all the colours of the cigarette packets. So now
Yeah.
there's not branding colours. What did they
Yeah.
call it? They called it drab khaki. They called the colour
Yes.
of
Generic packaging.
all the cigarettes,
Yeah.
tobacco pouches, all types of cigarettes, and the name of the cigarettes in tiny white writing on the packet, and
Yeah.
on each face of the packet of cigarettes is photos of cancer and gangrene
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff like gross diseases that you get from
Yes.
smoking. And this drab khaki is really shit brown.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to say that in Parliament, right? But they
Yeah.
deliberately went through colours
Yeah.
and went, "What's
Sort
the
of
most
baby shit
ugly shit
brown.
brown
Yeah.
colour we can get to
Yeah.
make tobacco look horrible?" And they
Yeah.
put these cancer photos, the
Yeah.
huge cancer photos, on every single packet, and it was like, we're trying to make these cigarettes as appealing to kids as
Yeah.
possible, and it
Yeah.
worked. The number of teenagers now that start smoking is minuscule. They just don't have the cash. And
Yes.
they're working very hard at making vaping unavailable
Yeah.
to under 18s. In America, there's a big push to kill vaping because it's not limited. Under 18s can get hold of it. But in Australia, every shop that sells the machines, like sort of this,
Yeah.
every shop that sells the machines will not allow you in if you're under 18. You can't even get the machines. You can't buy nicotine juice here in Australia. You have to import it.
That's the
And
weird
if you,
thing. In Australia, the flavors are legal
yeah,
and the nicotine's illegal. Where in the US, they're talking about making the flavors illegal, but I don't think they'll make nicotine juice illegal, which
yeah,
is quite surreal.
it's
But
quite
listen,
surreal.
it's
Yeah,
obvious aimed at kids, but it still does my head in the idea that there's been half a dozen poorly understood deaths that have been attributed to whatever chemical was in some dodgy vape juice or whatever.
yeah,
And suddenly there's the talk of banning them. It's like, I don't know, how many thousand people have been killed by guns there in the last couple of years? And you say nothing can be done? Kinder eggs are still illegal in the US because they're
Well, they're
choking you with
dangerous.
a toy. Kids can get guns, but not Kinder eggs. I'm just
Yeah.
the double think in it just does my head in. I can't
Well,
imagine.
I mean, one of the things that happened to the vaping, which it was fascinating to me, was that they said, "Oh, there's formaldehyde in the juice," and I thought
Yeah.
that's a bit odd. And I researched this, and what happened was,
Mm.
and this is interesting to me, was in China. Okay,
Yeah.
in one big factory where they sell pest control chemicals, right? They
Right.
had all this liquid nicotine that had to be refined in the factories because
Mm.
they refine it in the vape making factories.
Yes.
Um, they had all this nicotine there because that's a pest killer. You spray
Yeah.
it on plants
Yes.
and
Well,
it,
nicotine is. We think plants learn to secrete it as an
mm,
evolutionary thing because
mm,
bugs don't eat tobacco plants because the
mm,
nicotine's a poison,
yeah, it
and
poisons
humans
bugs.
decided to consume it.
Right, and basically, so it's a it's a bug killer. So,
Yeah.
um, pesticide companies will have a lot of excess nicotine sitting around.
Mm.
Formaldehyde is also a pest killer. What happened one time was several kegs of formaldehyde got mixed up with the nicotine. It's
Mm.
gone through the system, been sold in China and America,
Mm.
and this whole batch of nicotine had formaldehyde in it.
Mm.
Now, when I got told by this individual who said, "Oh, I've
Yeah.
done the research. It's got formaldehyde in it," and I thought that's a bit fucking odd. Why would you put formaldehyde in a pest killer?
Yeah.
And on the reading, I've gone, aha,
Yeah.
there you
But
go. Now
also,
this has happened
yeah.
one time
Yeah.
and everyone's freaking out. Also, just an interesting little tidbit:
Yes.
the machines explode sometimes. The
Cheap batteries. Yeah.
the batteries that get recharged sometimes don't cut out,
It used to
and
happen
they
with cheap laptops made in China too.
exactly
If
right.
a battery's cheaply made,
Yeah,
if there's a tiny breach in the casing of the battery, there's a high risk of combustion.
right. So it'll blow up, and yes, the machines do blow up on a fairly regular basis. You will get
I've seen a few videos I shouldn't laugh at of
oh
people
no, you got to
pocket,
laugh at them. People in
someone
their
like in a
pockets.
7-Eleven security
Ah!
camera and their pocket explodes.
You
And
know. However, what is not talked about on the news is that electric toothbrushes blow up at 3 times the rate that
mm,
vaping stuff does. But you don't hear that on the news. It's. I would have said ban electric toothbrushes because they blow up.
yeah.
But no, we
But
don't
people
hear
are
about it.
really shit at risk assessment. Like everyone's paranoid about sharks and they feel justified killing sharks and whatnot. When cows kill 10 times more people
Mm.
than sharks.
Yeah, sharks are in fact really actually um, quite maligned. They're quite
Yeah.
misunderstood. You talk to every surfer that's been
Mm,
bitten by a shark,
yeah.
and they go, "No, don't go and kill the sharks,"
Yeah.
and I'll go surfing again.
Yeah.
And basically, a guy explained to me by a surfer once, really, really calmly. He
Yeah.
said, "Well, look, if a shark came up on the water, out of the water, and bit someone, you'd kill
Yeah.
it, but."
Yes.
It's that because that's the shark in our house. But if
Yes.
you go in the shark's house,
Yeah.
guess what?
Yeah.
You're in the shark's house. But
Yeah.
the thing is that sharks very rarely attack swimmers. I
Yeah.
remember once I was snorkeling on the reef and I was going doo 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 doo, looking at the stuff, and then I looked up and there was these 3 sharks looking down at what I was looking at, going, "What's interesting here, mate?" And they're just looking at each other and looking at me like, what are you looking at? Is there a fish? And I'm going, Jesus. And all the sharks going, yeah. and then they all just wandered away.
Yeah.
And they weren't, up for it. They weren't getting me. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that people on boogie boards, which is small
Yeah.
surfboards, and people on surfboards look like seals and turtles from
Yeah,
underneath.
that's the theory. Yes.
There's,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, as you were pointing out, not only are shark attacks incredibly rare, and
Really rare,
it's not like sharks
amazingly rare.
are malicious, but we actually do have the 100% method for never, ever, ever getting attacked by a shark.
Yeah.
And, like, don't go in the fucking water.
Don't go in the water.
Yeah.
It's just simple. Don't go in the water. Bloody, the other way to avoid sharks is to just swim calmly. One of the things, and I'm going to be really careful about how I say this. When
Yes.
I was a young guy, I was a national class swimmer.
Yeah.
Right? I was, if I'd have worked harder, I would have been on the Olympic team. All right? That's how high up I was. If I'd have worked harder, I would have been in the big squad, not the superstar squad, but in the big squad. The filler. I would have been one of them. And basically, I could swim very, very well. There's a phenomenon in Australian beaches called the rip. And what it is the water coming on to the beach, the waves coming onto the beach, have to get back out again. And there's a particular landform with the sand that allows the water to get back a lot more quickly than just flowing back under the waves. And it will take anything in it out really fast. And if you are a weak swimmer, or not confident in the water, you will find yourself almost half a kilometre out into the ocean in about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's that fast and that powerful. It's like jumping into a raging river, but it's all flat. It's very, very deceptive because it's flat and calm. And so if you can recognize a rip and you're a very confident swimmer, and I'm talking very confident here. If you can swim 10 kilometers without stopping, okay. And what we would do, my brother and I, the other national class swimmers, we would find rips and jump in and go because you're already out with a big waves are. And then you get onto a wave and you let it take you in and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and faster and faster and faster and you body surf right into the sand, and if you do it right you can actually end up flipping onto the sand near where it gets dry, and then you get up and go again and find another rip and out you go. The surf lifesavers do the same thing. They find a rip and they go out and they rescue people because it's easier to rescue people coming in than going out. And so that's a thing. Sharks will not attack you in the rip.
In
They
the
will not
eastern
do it.
suburbs beaches in Sydney, Bondi being the most famous, there were rips that basically connected the beaches. There's one in Bondi was called the Bronte Express because if you were a strong swimmer, it would take you right round to the next beach. Bronte. Tamarama had the Bondi Express because it had a rip that would drag you around. You're actually safer going with the rip around to the next beach rather than trying to fight against it. So,
Oh, if you ever find yourself in a rip and you don't want to be, don't swim against it, swim sideways.
Yeah, across. Don't try and swim back to shore.
Don't try and swim back to shore because you won't. Just try and swim sideways. You'll be dragged down a little bit more, but you'll get out of it. You'll feel yourself get out of it, and then gently take a wave back in. The swell's quite big, and let yourself be at the bottom of the swell, and you'll be pulled along, and then the swell will go away again, but there's another one coming. So don't freak out. You'll be fine. Just let the swell comes, and then the swells will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they'll get more and more powerful, and you'll be shot straight into the beach, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't freak out, because you start making mistakes. You'll start overusing your air. You'll start thrashing, and you don't need to thrash. Just even if you're just a doggy paddler, it's fine. You'll be fine. Just keep your head up. Just keep going. You'll be fine. If you need a rest, it's okay. You need a rest. Just
Don't fight
breathe,
against
be
it.
calm, and then just doggy paddle again.
Yeah.
It's like when you're running away from a prisoner of war camp. You can't run for 200 k's. So what you do is you jog until you get a bit puffed, and then you walk fast until you get, your breath back, and then you jog, dum 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 dum, and then you walk, and then you jog. And British prisoners of war covered hundreds of kilometres of distance just doing that, not eating for days, and they were fine. And then they'd get over the Swiss border, and it's like, it's pizza, going home, and it would work, and you'd cover a lot of ground very quickly. Same when you're swimming. Just don't freak. You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. Just keep going gently, gently, and if you're just too tired, just breathe. Just stay where you are. Just tread water for a while and breathe nice and deep, and then keep going. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just don't freak out. Besides, there's probably surf lifesavers going, yeah, maybe we'll get that guy. Yeah, I don't like the way he's swimming. Yeah, let's get the boat, and you'll be fine. You'll be good.
I'm going to go for
Anyway.
a whiplash level subject change.
Yep,
and say
do
hi
it.
to Megalith, you came in while you're saying that. But Dr. Obama's been asking us, he says there's an Israeli election tomorrow. What do we think? I think I haven't been following it, but
I think the
fascism
right wing's
seems
going to get in big time.
fascism seems very popular in Israel. But
I think Liquid's going to fucking take it out big time.
yeah,
I don't think it's going to be a bloodbath.
yeah,
But I think, right wing's just going to take it. Left wing hasn't done enough this term in Israel to warrant any big following. Also, around them, they've got Arab countries starting to get belligerent. No one knows what Syria is going to do. Jordan's been really quiet and friendly, but they're a little spit of land between everyone else who's been getting really aggressive. Iraq's splitting up into bits and pieces, and you've got ISIS running around, and they're going to kill every Jew they find. You've got Iran making fucking nuclear bombs, and they've said the first time we get one, we're going to chuck it at Israel. That's not going to fuck up the world. Can you please get onto the gym stuff? I need to go to bed soon, and I'm interested to hear about it. My CrossFitter, we will, for you. Just finishing off, Israel's surrounded by Arabs that are starting to get more aggressive. Egypt's calmed down. Of course, Saudi Arabia's not going to fucking go Israel. Iran is. No one knows what's happening with Yemen. It's a fucking mess. And you got ISIS on the move. So, look who's going to get in. Sir, do you want to start off with Jim, or do you want me to?
No, I'll just say, look, I gave AIDzee the task to do some research, and because I found an article that I thought was amusing. Brief backgrounder, Jim of Jim's Mowing. It's hugely successful for Jim franchising operation that after starting out with, just a lawn mowing franchise, branched out into any number of surreal things that for some obscure reason are branded gyms. And I mean, it is absolutely weird, the array of things from, Jim's bookkeeping, Jim's computer repairs, Jim's whatever. But anyway, so this guy's made. Juno. Just say good night to Juno Dog, who's managed to be tired enough to fall asleep. I think it must be nearly 5 a.m. in Juno.
No, Juno Dog. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
And so it's branched out. he started off when he was at uni. He's the franchises are reputed to generate more than $300 million a year. But now he's got so much money, he wanted to revisit some ideas. Now, I'm thinking it's the second half of the shoe. I'm going to mix myself a drink. AIDzee, why don't you tell people about Jim's big idea?
Okay, so Jim started his lawn mowing business because he was in university doing his PhD, and the university wouldn't pay him to do his PhD because his sponsor wasn't real happy with how it was going. And then when he went to defend his PhD in front of his peers, Jim said it was too radical, too far-reaching for them to accept it, so they didn't give him his PhD. So he had to keep on going with Jim's lawn mowing, and then he started to franchise out. Franchising out basically made him a ton of cash, and then he started branching out into other forms. So it's Jim's dog washing, it's Jim's electrical, it's Jim's plumbing, it's Jim's nuclear pile driving and operations. There's Jim's everything basically. There's Jim's dog walking, there's Jim's everything. All right. So what the thing is he's now mega rich, right? So he went back to the university that chucked him out, and he spent over $1 million in their science labs to sponsor the research that he basically wanted to get through when he was doing his PhD. And it all centers around this. He's basically looked at the races of people around the world and tried to figure out why the people that got ahead have got ahead and the people that have been left behind in poverty have been left behind in poverty. So he's basically gone, this is an epigenetic thing. This is something that is in your immediate genes, not in your ancestral genes, in your immediate genes. And it's not about intelligence, and it's not about your color or your makeup. It's about your attitudes, which is an epigenetic thing. And what he wants to do is he wants to make a pill that will basically improve us all. And he has brought it down to two things: it's restraint and vigor. So, restraint is things like you don't have sex every day, you've got to restrain yourself, right? And vigor is how hard you work. And he's basically gone, you Europeans have basically dominated the world because they've got both restraint and vigor. Your Asians have got restraint but no vigor, so same as your Russians. And your black folk around the world have no restraint and only a tiny bit of vigor, but your Australian Indigenous have no restraint and no vigor. So people have said, Jim, that sounds an awful lot like white supremacy. And he's gone, no, it's not. It's not at all white supremacy. I know this because I've had 5 Chinese wives. And I've got 10 children. And they've gone, is that showing restraint? And he said, well, I've only had 1 or 2 with each. It's probably hearsay, but the people I rang up who have had dealings with Jim and who know him personally all don't like him personally. They
And
haven't
the
had
people who
anything.
run franchises
Yeah,
generally don't like him.
yeah.
They feel like he's engineered the franchises to be incredibly beneficial to himself and not so much to the people doing all the work.
So another thing that I found out about Jim's research, which doesn't sound like a Clockwork Orange at all,
Mhm.
because he wants to make us all better. He wants to make us all better people, um, which scares me a little bit, because everyone
Better
will be better
faster, stronger,
people
longer.
at the same time,
Mm.
in the same way. I
Yeah.
wonder what uniform we'll be wearing.
Yes.
Anyway, he is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints,
Oh,
also
okay.
known as the
That's cool.
Mormons, which, is neither here nor there. But they have been sponsoring this research as well, because they and the Southern Baptists of America have been looking for the genetic code which makes homosexuals.
Oh, I
And they would
see.
very much like to change that genetics so that no one has to bear the scourge of homosexuality ever again. So I think that'll be in the pill as well.
The
So
anti-gay pill. That's
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah. So you take your anti-gay pill, and you're good. From then on in, it's hetero for you.
Yeah.
It'll also fix up all kinds of, the initials community. They won't have to deal with their problems, because they'll all be erased. Uh,
Yes.
mm. And we've tried that before, uh,
Yeah. There,
for a couple of
there's been some
thousand years,
notable figures
actually.
in history.
What's that?
There's been some notable figures in history who thought
Mm.
they could improve humanity.
There has been, and Jim has not really um, uh, considered himself among any of them. He did,
Yeah.
however, say it was the reason that Stalin was allowed to be in power for so long. It's the reason that so many people follow monsters, is because they don't have enough restraint or vigor.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so he's going to make this pill or medicine that's going to give everybody restraint and vigor.
Right.
Um,
So it won't
and
change your skin color, but it'll make you behave like a decent straight white man, is what he's saying.
yes, yes, it will. Yes, it will.
It's not about the
And
races. All the races are allowed to have the white man pill.
yeah, yeah. All the races will have the white man pill. They'll behave
Yeah.
properly
Jim's
like
going to
the
put it
white
in the
man,
water supply.
and effectively, they'll get off their ass and start working properly. And they'll understand that sitting in a traffic jam for 2 hours is
Mm.
just the way things go.
Mm.
Um, and I was talking to a comedian once, and we were saying that often we don't get paid a lot. It's like swinging from vine to vine. You don't know where your rent's coming from,
Yeah.
but you just trust that you're going to get a gig. um, you
Yes.
know, and we all knew that you've got to wait 3 months behind on the rent before they chuck you out.
Yeah.
You just swing vine to vine, and you've got to let one
Mm.
vine go before you catch the next one.
Yes.
So you just get used to that.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it once, and we were saying if we had to do the 9 to 5 thing and be in a traffic jam for 2 hours every day, we'd climb clock tower and fucking shoot people.
Yes.
And
Different people can do different things. Yeah.
when I was teaching comedians, what I would say to them is go and get a job for 2 or 3 months. Go and get a straight job for 2 or 3 months. Go to a call center. Go and make sandwiches. Go and just get a straight job for 2 or 3 months, because connect with people who feed you. Connect with the people who pay the tickets to come and see you. See
Mm.
what it's like to live on that side of the stage. And without fail, they'd all come back and go, "Yep, it's fucked. I want to tell jokes,"
Yes.
and they'd be better at it,
Yeah.
because eventually you
Bit,
get
bit more
comedians, and all
connected.
they can talk about is hotels and airport food,
Yes.
or airline food, and it's like, come on, guys, get with it. Anywho, Jim is going to fix us all. The
With the
other
pill.
thing that I wanted to talk about with Jim, is there a pro LGBTQ pill?
Because if
Yes, it's Triton C.
MDMA. Sorry, what's your
Um,
one?
Triton C. Um,
Okay.
give it a
I
go.
was thinking the pro LGBT pill would be MDMA, but
That's a good one to go with.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one to go with. Um, Basically, there's another thing that Jim's into just recently, and it's Jim's meth lab, discovery and cleaning. So if you're in a house that you're getting headaches and it smells strongly of ammonia, Jim will come in, test if it was a meth lab, and then clean it up for you.
Nice.
Um, and he's also basically perfecting a system where he can drive around the streets and discover meth labs and therefore call the police
Oh
and
wow.
shut them down.
Yeah.
So good on you, Jim. So was Jim's research peer reviewed? Yes, it was, and
He's
it
paying
makes
people to review it now.
and it was shut down.
Yeah.
In his PhD, they shut him down. But now that he's paying the lab
Hmm.
to make this happen, they
Yeah.
can't shut him down,
He's paying
because it's
people
pretty
to review.
much his lab. Um, you know, they're using his theories, done
Oh,
that MDMA in women. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Choco
So
Nations agrees that the antidote
yeah.
to Jim's pill is MDMA.
Mm.
That
But I
depending
mean, we
on who
won't
you
take
are.
it because we'll all be proper white heterosexual people, and we will say no to drugs and
Yeah.
use the big brother. Oh shit! Did I say that? Um, um, I was cured. My droogies and brothers, I was cured. Very Clockwork Orange freaks me out a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know, people with a lot of money who start saying stuff like, we're going to cure you of the shit that's
Yeah.
wrong with you. And I'm going, there's nothing really wrong with me. I'm just
Yeah.
different. Um, you know, one of
It's
the
not a
things that I gave up when I got into entertainment, theatre and telling jokes and circus. I don't do much circus anymore. And doing the YouTubers. So, I don't get a lot of cash. I simply
mm,
don't. But
mm.
you know what? I wake up when I want to,
Yes.
and I go where I want to, and
Yeah.
I deliberately go and check out people as much as I can every
Mm.
day. I wear headphones pretty much all the time to listen to music, apparently, but I turn them off when I'm on the tram, sometimes when I'm in the mall, so that I can listen in on conversations.
Yeah.
And people say the shit that you can't write. Like these two chicks that are walking down the street, and they said, "Oh, Elaine had a new baby." Um, oh, that's lovely. Yes, it's a girl. She's got a great name for it, Karosane. And
Corrupted.
Karosane. Oh, is that Japanese? Yes, I think so. It's spelled Kerosene. Karosane. Yeah, she called a girl kerosene. Um, fuck me. You can't write that. You can't write that.
Ah,
And and so I'm walking the other way, pissing myself. And these two
yeah.
girls are looking at me like, grr. And I'm going, oh, these podcasts are piss funny, and kept on walking. Um, and people being different, and people being slightly broken, and people
Mm,
being really smart, and people being really slack,
mm,
makes the fabric and the song lines of our world. If everyone was the same, it would be a bit shit.
mm.
Um, you know, um, what I like doing is I like walking down the street and looking at all the stuff around me, like the
Yeah.
road. like the concrete. I think someone's eavesdropping. I said the most outrageous thing I can think of. Fuck, so do I. So do I.
He is
Like,
also not joking. I've had to slap him. I think we've been on public transport, and he just starts talking about disgusting bodily functions or infections and pustules and whatnot, just to make people leave the seats surrounding us.
I
And
do. It's so much fun. It's
very
so much
poor,
fun.
very
And
poorly behaved.
I ask things like, do you think fucking a goat for ceremonial reasons is okay? Or do you just admit that you're fucking a goat? And people will get up and piss off. And, you know, and Angry gets really angry at me.
Choking on Ashes, saying the writer that the film Prick Up Your Ears is based on did that in the movie, apparently. That was Joe Orton. Prick Up Your Ears was the Joe Orton story. He's an English playwright. And of course, the joke in that name, Prick Up Your Ears, because Joe Orton was very much the gay, you only have to move a letter around till the title becomes Prick Up Your Ass.
Yeah, Prick Up Your Ears.
The entire meaning of it.
Yeah, and yeah, he had a funny life. He did like 3 or 4 really full-on blockbuster plays, and then did nothing for 10 years.
Well, he was fairly his lover caved his head in with a hammer, didn't he?
Yes, his lover killed him. Yeah, they came back from a trip from it was either Tangiers or Morocco, and is Tangiers in Morocco? Anyway, they came back from a Morocco trip or something, and they were having a fight, and his lover killed him with a hammer. Then the lover took enough Nembutal to kill himself, and then they were found, and it was like, what the fuck? Because being a homo back in those days was still illegal.
Oh yeah, it get you killed quite easily.
Yeah. And
there's an
yeah,
old
and you could get
Anthony
jailed.
All-Stars joke about when they used to do those little throwaway one-liners. There was one about, you know, I wish I'd met Joe Orton. I'd love to sing to him. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer all the I know.
Yeah, full of taste.
Yeah, Anthony All-Stars. Oh, queens of bad taste, those boys.
Yeah, Doug Anthony All-Stars. Started in Canberra with a busking group called the Black Dogs. Yeah. And then they went on to be the Doug Anthony All-Stars.
Internationally famous.
And they fought like the Beatles, apparently. But I wouldn't know.
Let's start asking, when was homosexuality legalized in Victoria? Well, it's more decriminalized. There is actually there's distinct legal meanings of us proletariat don't see the difference between legalized and decriminalized. Legalized would mean it was regulated by the government. Decriminalized means it's no longer an offense on the books. And I'm not sure when it got decriminalized.
Okay, so there's 2 stages. There's 2 stages, right?
Yeah.
There's decriminalisation, and then there's legalisation. In Australia, homosexuality was decriminalised in 1975. Then it was legalised in 1979. And the decriminalisation gives you a fine, and the fines progressively got lower and lower and lower and lower, and the police stopped buggerizing around.
Well, that's the thing. That was a state level. It was a state level law, and the last state to actually take the law off the books was Tasmania, and that was only in the 1990s. And that was basically
1996.
The agitators were showing up at police stations and just going, "You have to arrest me under subsection XYZ." Because I had his dick up my bum last night. And
the cops were going, "Can you please piss off? We're busy. We've got things to do. We've got no money."
Yeah.
You know, it was like in Canberra when, the ACT, the capital of Australia, is a small place, and it was always a federal district, like Washington, D.C., right?
Yes.
Anyway, So they were paid for by the federal coffers, and then the federal government said, "Do you want to be your own state?" And ACT said, "No." And then they said, "Do you want to be your own state?" And ACT went, "No." And then they said, "Do you want to be your own state?" There's just 3 different elections. "No." "Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, you're your own state." Fuck.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden they had to pay for their own stuff, and they had to pay to make it a very pretty place so that diplomats from other countries could go, "Oh, isn't it gorgeous?" And it cost a fortune. And the police came to the government and said, "Right, you've got enough money to enforce your murder laws or your marijuana laws. Which one do you want? Because we can't do both."
Yeah.
And they said, "Go the murder laws." And so now in ACT, marijuana is decriminalised, and if you get done with more than 3 plants in your backyard, you get a fine of $100.
Yes.
No, it's 3 plants. Yeah, if you got 3 plants in your backyard, there's a fine of $100. If you get caught smoking in public, the cops will say, "Did you drive?" And if you say, "No, I caught the bus," the cops will say, "Can I see your keys?" And you'll show them your keys, and they go, "Right, did you drive?" "No." "All right. If you drive in under 6 hours, we will bust you." And they've got a lick test. And if you drive stoned, then it's like DUI. You get done for driving, like drunk.
Yes.
And it's very expensive and very jailable. And so, yeah, basically these days they walk up to you and say, "You stoned?" "Yeah." "Did you drive?" "No, I took the bus." "Well, take the bus home or get a taxi." And they don't care. They won't bust you because it's just they've got to catch people who are hurting people, and they've got to catch people who. When was porn banned in New South Wales and Vic and Queensland?
I thought you because porn is still illegal in New South Wales. It's still illegal in Queensland. I am not 100% sure about Victoria. But also, it's a fucking moot point. There are precious few places that sell physical hardcore porn anymore because it's all internet based. But there are still a few. But there was a thing a couple of years ago in New South Wales when the Conservatives wanted to win a state a couple of years ago. God, it might have been 10 years ago now. Time flies. I'm old. I lose track of time. But
So do I.
the New South Wales government wanted to look tough or something. So they ordered the cops to raid the sex shops in King's Cross in Sydney to look tough with the pretense that they said, well, we'd heard they were selling child porn. They're going to raid them. And so they raided all this stuff. The poor bastards who were working the counter were all arrested and are now registered sex offenders. And of course, they found 0 child porn because they weren't selling any. But what everyone forgets is hardcore porn generally is illegal. It had a blind eye turned to it since the 90s. So the poor suckers who were working in these sex shops ended up with criminal records as sex offenders, which is just shit.
But do you know that got overturned? They took that to a higher court because there was pro bono QCs that said this is bullshit because they were all casual workers. They were all staff. They were nobody, right? The bosses weren't around, and they got casual workers, and they all got busted. And this QC took it to a couple of higher courts and said this is bullshit. They're all just casual. It's got nothing to do with They got nothing to do with the actual peddling of anything.
Yeah, they don't do the purchasing and distributing.
Yeah, they have no control over anything. So how can they be responsible? And eventually, the court said, "Good point." And so all of their criminal record and sex offence went away. But they were under that for like 7 years or something.
Yeah,
And
it was just bullshit politics.
and they couldn't when you're under those restrictions, you can't go to another country. You've got to ask to go to another state in Australia.
Yeah.
You can't get a government job. You can't. There's another thing you can't do.
Well, you're
You
supposed to.
can't. You can't vote without permission,
Yeah,
which
but you're also
is
supposed to declare it in any job interview, in
yeah,
any application to rent a place. You're meant to
yes,
disclose that you're on the sex offender register, which means
and
you
you
can
you get
never get a
nothing.
job, never get a
You won't get
rental.
a job, and you won't get a house. It's over. Forget it. You've got to get someone else to get the house, and you share.
Hmm.
And you basically got to get a job that is a halfway job for criminals, and that's
Yeah,
not usually very nice.
yeah,
So you know, it sucks, and
yeah,
I complain about the treatment that I get
yeah,
for being on the program,
yeah,
but it's nothing compared to what some people get, um, and yeah, it's full on,
yeah.
you know,
Oh,
and that
Safa's
it was
asking why
unfair.
weren't the bosses caught in the raids on the adult shops? Because the bosses don't work in the shops. They're never in
No,
the shops.
you're
Also,
never in the
they
shop.
pay off the cops to know when to make
Mm,
themselves scarce as well.
yep,
Also, oh my
New
God,
South
Ollie
Wales.
Gun Bunny, regular on here, he had told me on Facebook his Facebook account got hacked and he had to set up a new one. And apparently, the reason someone hacked it, they used it to scam someone out of $1,000. That sucks.
That sucks. That's fucked, man.
Criminals, eh?
I found out a thing. What has been happening as there's been gangs of folk um, going around town with a backpack with a computer in it and a radio,
Hmm.
and they're going past people with tapper cards, right? And the computer is charging them $90
Oh, they're
out
doing
of their
little
tapper card.
aphid sniffers, yeah.
Right? So they get these $90, and they've got like earphones on,
Hmm.
and people are just standing there. They go past them several times, and then the
Hmm.
earphones beep, and they go, okay, they're out of money. Walk on.
Hmm.
So they just walk up and down busy streets and suck money out.
Hmm.
And basically, in Melbourne, they don't do it because in Melbourne, people have my key cards and they put them in their wallet along with their tapper cards,
Yeah,
and the machines go, "Oh, I detect two cards, and I'm confused."
yeah,
Because if you try that at the railway stations or the readers, because
yeah,
what I used to do just tap my wallet against it,
yeah.
but then when I started to do it, it was going, "Oh no, I'm detecting two cards," and I
Yes.
tried it on a tapper card machine, and the tapper card machine was going, "No, I don't get this at all." And so these gangs that do this sniffing for money, they don't do it in Melbourne.
Hmm.
So come
Yeah.
to Melbourne and don't get ripped off by
Yeah,
people with machines.
the weirdness, Mike, I had the same thing. Tried to keep my Mikey card in my wallet and tap with my wallet, but it picks up the chip in a bank card, a credit card, and just goes, "I'm confused." So you have to take the card out and tap it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I didn't know that, but yeah, the card sniffers would get confused by the Mikey card because credit cards confuse the Mikey card. And yeah, in a supermarket, the supermarket checkout will recognize the Mikey card is something, but it
Yep,
knows it's a credit card. So,
yep.
that's really interesting. I didn't know.
So,
Yeah,
because I was interested, so I went to a cafe that's very friendly to me, and I said, "Can I just try something out?" And I did it because I owed them cash, and I did it, and
yeah,
the bank came back with, "I have no idea what you're doing. I do
yeah,
not know. I've cancelled this. Do it again." And so I did it a few times just to check, and because they were fascinated too. And then I put it properly, and then it was fine, went straight through. And I was going, interesting. And so I talked to a police person friend of mine who
Yeah.
lives here in Melbourne, and she said, yeah, no, we have no problem with it. But even in Sydney, what they do now is the cops have radio direction finding
Yeah.
tuned to RFID chips. And there's
Mm,
like 5 of them going around really busy places. And on their phone, they have an app, no
mm,
shit, that
mm,
shows where the signal is strongest. And then when the 5 of them get a good fix, the app actually draws lines
mm.
to where the signal's strong, and then follows the signal, and then they all converge and arrest the person
Yeah.
and take them into the jail. And
Yeah.
their hackers then go through their computer and go, "Well, you've stolen, you know, $80,000. So that's 1,500 counts of theft. How would
Yeah.
you like to plead this?"
Yes. Another
Because you're
interesting,
gone.
yeah, another interesting crime with the electronics and whatnot. Modern expensive cars don't have keys. You have electronic fobs. You
Yeah,
start with a push button, and the key fob has to be within proximity of the start button to start the car. So the
yeah,
idea is when you're not near your car, it can't be started. So like when you're inside and your car's out in the garage or the driveway, it can't be started. That led to an increase in both carjackings and home invasions of people who had expensive cars because you can't hotwire those cars. You need the key fob.
that's right.
So one of the unexpected side effects of increased security in a car is a worse crime being committed to get the car. But there's a thing that the car makers denied for years was real, but it's proven. It's a signal booster. You get it off the dark web, and because your key fobs only got a effective radius of 2 meters, mate,
2
maybe
meters
2 meters,
max. Like, there's
one
no more than
maybe
that.
2 meters. But these signal boosters could boost the effectiveness to 20 or to 100 meters. And so they'd basically go, there's an incredibly expensive Mercedes in that driveway. They've got their little signal booster and they sneak up next to the car and switch the signal booster on. Key fob signal suddenly gets boosted. Car unlocks and starts when they push the button, and they steal the car and drive it into the back of a truck and it's gone. And that's an incredibly effective theft. And the car makers denied this was possible for
For
years.
years. For
And
years. And the other.
dozens and dozens of cars were being stolen with these
Mm,
signal boosters. The other one that they denied was true. Someone just worked out that the fobs work off a particular frequency, and they had
yeah,
a box that just switched through a million frequencies.
that's
So
right.
they
That
switched
was,
it
and they
through a
still
car,
use that today. They still
and you
use the
spin through
frequency
all the
snippers today.
frequencies to one unlock the car. But yeah,
Yeah. And it goes through all the frequencies, and then it gets an idea that it's close, and then it just wobbles through
homes in
that, and
on it.
then it finds
Yeah,
the exact one, and bloop, everything opens, and bloop, you can get the car, and bloop, drive it away.
yeah.
And then when you get to where you're giving it to, you give them the frequency, they retrain a fob to that frequency, and then they sell the car.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. You haven't
Although
broken it.
also those cars, the expensive cars, this is the surreal thing. I found this out working for an insurance company. Sometimes those cars are worth more in parts than they are as a whole car. Because
Yeah, I heard
authentic
that.
replacement parts for those cars are horrendously expensive because it's a monopoly. You can only get a Mercedes replacement part from Mercedes. You can only get a BMW replacement part from a BMW. But if you get a stolen BMW or Mercedes to a chop shop, they can then take it apart and sell all these authentic parts as
Mm,
replacements, and they can make more money out of the parts than they even like the lights. Those stupid, annoying, bright lights that they have on them. They can run to thousands of dollars.
true
Like
story.
if you rip the front off one of those cars and you don't break it, and you know the right people, you can make $10,000 just by having ripped the front off one of those cars. That's if the indicators and headlights and everything are intact, that's worth $10,000.
Yeah. And I mean, don't even start on the engines, because, you know, if your engine's stuffed and with those particularly high-end cars, when your engine breaks, it fucking breaks, right?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
they
When
will,
the
because
jet
they get
engine
pushed.
light comes on, you're fucked.
Yeah, when you push those cars really hard, and they do, get on a country road, away you go. And when something
Yeah.
snaps inside, and the speeds that those engines are going, it goes and smashes right through the car, because a lot of that stuff's aluminium to keep it light and to keep
Yes.
it go, you know, and their tolerances are so fine that as soon as something gets
Yeah.
out of whack, smashes right through the engine and it's stuffed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to replace those engines, it's big money. So if
Oh
you've
yeah.
got a chop shop engine, you slip it straight in. It's like, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
I'll slip some cash in your
Yeah.
back pocket. You know, as long as you keep it just cheaper than the authentic part, you're away. But yeah, and again, you can just sell the whole thing. Oh, God, it's still alive. Thank you. Yes, I am still alive after falling down the stairs, which was a thing. Did you know I got brain damage when I fell down the stairs?
Yeah, I know you hit
Because I
your
got
head.
a concussion.
Yeah.
I hit my head really hard, and then
Yeah.
for about a week, I couldn't remember words at all. I would reach for things like beneficial,
Yes.
and things like autocrat, and they were always words that had end a point, and
I'm just
I just
imagining you at
couldn't.
dinner time. Imagining you at dinner time, you've got a plate in front of you and go, I want stabby thing that picks up food. Boss of the house says, a fork? You want a fork? Yes.
Yes,
Yes, a
please.
fork.
That's exactly what I want, and that was what I was like. And also, they bring me 4 pictures to look at. And an hour later, they come back and get me to remember the person's name and the prime minister, which I still don't know, and
Yeah, that's an unfair
the
question
4
these days,
pictures.
though, because the Prime Minister changes too often.
Yeah, changes way too often. And they'd say,
Yeah.
"What's the date?" and "What's the day?" And I was always buggered on that.
I
And
wouldn't
"What's the
know the
time?"
date.
And well, what I'd do is I'd look at the clock, and they've
Yeah,
got the day and the date there.
yeah,
But they got clever about that and then moved the curtain across, and I couldn't see it anymore.
yeah,
And I'm like, damn. And so they'd give me these 4 pictures with something on them, like a cup, keys,
yeah,
a horse, and a smiley face.
yeah.
And for like a week, I couldn't remember about what was on the pictures. And what they'd also do is they'd put their name tag. Who's the deputy PM? It's the person.
Nobody
Um,
knows. Nobody
probably,
knows the answer to that.
probably somebody
It's
with
the guy from the
eyes.
Nats, but no one knows his name.
All right. Oh, they're still doing that. They're still
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
deputy
the deputy
PMs and
PM
that.
is the national leader. But since they got rid of again, Barnacle Boyce, no one knows who his replacement is.
All right. Because didn't he get done being a New Zealander and also having 6 wives and stuff like that?
The main thing that got him done was banging one of his staffers. Yeah.
Well, that'll do it. I mean,
Well,
that should have been.
look, Annette was just asking me what I was drinking. It was a cocktail, Annette, that I call a bitter Italian by way of Bundaberg, because it had Bundaberg rum and a few Italian liqueurs, Cointreau, an orange liqueur, Puntamez, which is a bitter liqueur, and a really bitter one called Fernet Branca. It gives it a little bit of bitter edge, because the Bundy, being a rum, is sweet, and the Cointreau orange is sweet, and it's a very nice balance. I sort of discovered it on the weekend. I improvised.
It's nice. It sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Sounds like a
I'll show
nice.
you. There's still half an hour. I'm gonna make something silly. I'll show you. This and
What are
this.
you getting?
Look at this.
You
I
clearly
got
need it out
something.
of the fridge. That's dangerous.
Well, because it's cream based, it's got to stay in the fridge. What
Well,
else
that
do I?
makes sense if it's cream based. My God,
Uh,
don't you what do you?
oh, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm gonna have a
What,
dessert now.
what have
But
you
look at this.
got?
I'm gonna get white girl wasted. You probably can't read that. That's
Mozart.
pumpkin spice chocolate liqueur. Because the Americans are always talking about pumpkin spice around Halloween.
What?
And I
What
saw it,
is
and
that?
so it's like ironic purchase of novelty alcohol leads to unironic drinking.
What does pumpkin spice taste like?
Honestly, that one just tastes like chocolate milk.
Oh, okay. Good-o. Yeah.
But I don't know why they call it pumpkin spice. I think when the Americans have things like it's notorious, like Starbucks does a pumpkin spice latte around Halloween,
Right.
and I think it's basically just cinnamon.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
And the
No, I'm
color of
impressed with
this,
that.
I can't remember, but it's basically as orange as that wrapper.
Nothing wrong with that. I
So
love a
it's
Jaffa.
yeah, it's a Jaffa basically. Yeah,
I like a Jaffa.
orange chocolate. But I'm going to make this a
Yeah,
very
I'm up for that. Next time I'm over there, I'll have a bit of that.
yeah, no, it's and it's low alcohol as well.
Mm. Mm.
It's only 20% as opposed to like most spirits are 40%.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the American pumpkin spice is basically just a cinnamon flavor, I think. And I
Right.
don't know exactly why they call it pumpkin spice, except they're just trying to tie it to Halloween.
I
Um,
thought it might have been a callback to the Spice Girls. There's Posh
maybe.
Spice, Baby Spice, Pumpkin Spice, and the
Hey,
other
look,
one.
Phil Suter.
Oh
Look,
my stars!
what?
Hello,
Huh?
g'day Phil. Here you go, man. Good to see you. And it would be we should get a thing going and give
Yeah,
Suter enough notice to get here.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And oh look, Saf wants to know, are you a leftist, AIDzee?
Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
dirty lefty.
I don't know if I'm as leftist as angry, but I'm close.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought it's reasonably close.
I don't believe in free speech um, because I don't think pedophiles and Nazis should be allowed to say their shit. I think that people who are into hate speech should go and fuck themselves. Um, and I don't think that people who lie, especially
Yeah,
about science, should be allowed to spread their ideas. Like anti-vaxxers, for example, should shut the fuck up because they're killing so many people that it's ridiculous. And so that's pretty much. I'm not like a Fabian socialist or anything. I'm not that far left.
yeah.
I'm just sort
I don't
of
even think Fabian socialists are particularly left. I consider that a really conservative form of socialism because most Fabian socialists think the working class can't run things for themselves. They need their better educated betters to run the workers' paradise for them.
I don't get that. Yeah, no, I don't get that flavour from them. I get a much more service oriented flavour from the Fabians. I
See,
mean,
yeah,
okay, yes,
very
there's
orange,
oh nice.
very
I
orange.
like your cup too. It's got a head on it.
Yeah, it's my tiki mug,
All right.
cut
Okay.
glass tiki mug. Yeah,
Yeah. Geez, you can afford the nicest stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, look, we're going on about very, very specific kinds of
yeah.
leftism here. So maybe
Yes,
we should just bring it a bit broader.
yeah.
So
We're just raising lefties.
I
Yeah,
think that a larger tax is a good thing, but I think that governments are not companies; they're services.
Yes.
So that's my leftism. I think that
Yeah. Oh,
governments should be providing healthcare and education and roads and hospitals and shit like that. And I think that companies should be allowed to be profitable. I think that land should be able to be bought and passed on, but I don't think it should be prohibitive. And I think that we've got our basic consumer tax the right way around, as in fresh food and vegetables are not taxed at all,
yeah.
and processed food and sugary drinks are taxed.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that we've also got it the right way around, in the sense that just because a company wants to do business, if they're selling something that will kill you, like
Yeah.
cigarettes, no. You don't get to tell the government, oh no, I don't want you to buggerise around with my packaging. It's like, no, I'm sorry, you're selling a cancerous product. You don't get to say. So yeah, that's the kind of leftism I'm into. I mean, I'm into governments are services, not
Yeah.
companies. Companies are good at being companies, and the privatization of everything is not always the answer. Recently, we've had our electricity privatized on the grounds that it would be cheaper and more competitive, which is
Yes.
bullshit. It's gone up
Big lie. Big lie.
60% in the
Yeah.
last 10 years. Um, they wanted to privatize water, except there was a massive fucking scandal in New South Wales, and all the other states went, ooh, maybe we
Yes.
won't
But they
privatize water.
still push it. They still try and privatize more government services, saying this will save consumers money, even though the
And it
last
won't. It
10
never
things they
does.
privatized.
Never does. Everything they privatized has cost more, and the quality has gone down. And
Yeah.
they promise the quality will go up and stay the same, and then they promise that the prices will go down. Never
Yes.
happens,
Never.
and the quality goes down. In fact, there's another scandal that one of the electricity companies wasn't taking care of its poles and wires properly, and it
Because there's no
started a
profit in
fucking
maintaining the infrastructure.
no, there's no profit in that, but it started a massive fire,
Because stuff starts to break down.
wildfire
Yeah.
in Australia, killed people. And in Australia, when a fire
Yeah.
kills people, that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Because while we have huge wildfires, we have systems and procedures that mean that people are generally saved or safe. Generally. We had a very, very bad one here in Victoria 10
Well,
years ago now
nearly 10 years ago.
that killed 400
It
people,
just
yeah.
it
And it
actually
was
wiped
very, very
out
bad.
towns. It destroyed towns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it it was a very, 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 very hot day, and there was lots of wind, and the
Yeah.
bloody thing just took off.
A fire that was
We have
literally
a type
moving.
of
The fire was moving at 60 to
yeah,
100
go on.
kilometers an hour.
Yeah, it's that fast. I mean, you can't get out of that.
That was the fire that
And what?
introduced the catastrophic fire warning. Before
Yes, we
our highest fire danger was extreme, and
and
that
now
was so unprecedented that day. They introduced the new rating of catastrophic. What catastrophic means is if you didn't obey the warning a day previously to get out, it is now too late.
yeah,
Leaving is more dangerous than staying and just crossing your fingers.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh,
Stay where you are and dig
they're
a hole,
basically going
because
catastrophic is a fire, an horrifically destructive fire moving extremely fast, and there is literally nothing you can do. It's too late. Uh,
yeah,
and
you're
you've
supposed
basically
to, when
got
the
to trust.
catastrophic comes, you're supposed to gather up your pets and your documents, get in your car and piss off. Just go.
The
Don't
day
worry about your
before.
house. The day before,
Yeah.
you just got to go because your house is gone. Don't worry about that. It's over. You can build another house, but you will probably die.
Yes.
If you drive around in a catastrophic bushfire, you'll probably die. So just stay there, or day before, piss off, get out of there. We find now the other thing that's a problem with Australian wildfires, we call them bushfires, but a problem is that we have a lot of eucalyptus trees. They contain an oil which basically stops pests eating them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the trouble with this oil is that it's all the way through the tree, and if you heat it enough, it'll basically to spray a tree in an aerosolized form, and the tree will explode. And when you hear this tree scream, it's a bloody frightening thing. And then you feel them explode. I was in a place called the Blue Mountains, and a lot of forest around, a lot of fires.
Yes.
And myself and my flatmate was sitting in our house going, and we'd filled the bathtub up full of water. We'd done all the right things, and we were just sitting holding each other in this house going, fucking hell. And we heard the trees scream, and it makes the most unearthly sound. And then you hear the trees explode, and the windows were shaking. It was like seeing a Mach 1 plane go overhead.
Yeah.
And
They
you see
found that
the
out in
flash of
California
the trees
too.
exploding. Yeah,
They
it's
they
like it's so
exported
full on.
exported eucalyptus to California, Los Angeles in particular, because it's a desert and eucalypts thrive in very low water environments. But no one told
And
them
they
about.
also wanted to make track sleepers for trains, and
Well,
unfortunately,
just
things
to
got
have
twisted.
trees in a very
So,
dry area, and no one
yeah,
told them about the oil thing. And because around LA in particular, they do have a lot of valleys and rises, and that's the worst thing because eucalyptus going up a rise, which is why it's bad in the Blue Mountains. If there's a fire in the valley and it starts traveling up the side, the heat rises and dries the trees out before the fire even gets there, and then the oil comes out, and then the trees fucking explode. And they found that out in Los Angeles, much to their chagrin. But hey, I've
they're
got
very hard
a
to
slight.
stop.
Yes.
Go on.
Well, because it's oil, it's burning. But I'm going to do another whiplash topic change because Gecko brought up something that I wanted to talk about anyway because it was funny. I don't know if you remember a guy who goes by the name Milo Yiannopoulos, but to mark this, I'm going to change the little icon in the corner to our first soners, the cartoon version of us that was drawn by Petty Wallaby. Me as a Tasmanian devil and you as
That's
a
right.
but yeah, Milo Yiannopoulos, a Nazi apologist, an absolute asshole. For some reason, decided he was going to get involved with the furry community, which, as Gecko points out, is the most welcoming and inclusive community you can think of. But there's some big furry convention in the US that Milo wanted to attach himself for, and they all got together and went, "Oh fuck no!" And he got barred from showing up at the furry convention, which is absolutely hilarious that they turfed him out.
And you gotta be special to be kicked out of a furry convention because the shit that goes on there, you just go, okay, whatever.
Yes.
You got to be very open-minded at a furry convention and also a brony convention.
Oh, brony.
And yeah, to be kicked out of that is awesome. I just imagine all those furries getting together in their fursuits going, no, and then a stampede.
Yeah.
Just over this, Yiannopoulos guy, just a stampede. Wolf's
Although
kicking the shit out of him.
I have seen Nazi furries too, and that is the fuck ups. You know, basically people who think it's funny just to upset everyone. They're wearing their like fursuits, but with swastika armbands and pseudo Nazi uniform accoutrements as well. So yeah.
People are, there's nothing so queer as folk.
Yeah. What about how inclusive furries are? I'd always wanted to make a sketch because every now and then there are furry events in Melbourne, and I wanted to get some of the people with the nice fursuits. And the sketch basically revolved around how inclusive and accepting furries were. And it's like a couple of furries, you know, putting their fursuits on, and they're having the conversation about, I love this community. It's so welcoming and so open. Everyone goes, yeah, we don't judge. You are part of the community and whatnot. One goes, yeah, like in my day job, people are so judgmental. If I mentioned I was a furry, they'd throw me out. So I can't ever talk about it. But here, everyone accepts me. And someone says, yeah, brother, what do you do for a day job? And he goes, oh, I'm a public transport ticket inspector. And then she's like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out now.
Never come back.
The most hated people in Melbourne are the public transport ticket inspectors.
Yeah.
I want to do a whole thing setting up how inclusive the furries were, and it doesn't matter your age, your race, your gender, your sexuality, your physique. We accept you. And then this guy says, I'm a ticket inspector, and they're just like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out now.
Get out of here. Listen, I have to go off camera for just a moment. I'll be back in a sec.
All right.
I've just got to sort out a couple things. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stop my camera for a sec. Hello, you can still hear me. And now I'm muting, but I'll be back in a moment.
All right. I'll just take over the screen while AIDzee's gone. Not that you're in the last 10 minutes anyway. Choking on hashes. You're surprised Milo has friends. The lowest of the low still has friends. I mean, I've been fascinated this week, but even more like, you know, these right-wing agitators, the ones who try to be more mainstream, like little Ben Shapiro, who is just so fucking stupid. Somehow he got the reputation, like whatever media outlet a couple of years ago called him the cool kids philosopher. And it's like, he's just really stupid. Like his arguments are really, really bad to the point they're embarrassingly bad. Like I don't think anyone will ever do a better takedown of him in a one-liner than H Bomber Guy did on YouTube. Shapiro actually said this ridiculous line like, oh, these stories about climate change causing rising sea levels, that's not a problem, because even if the really bad predictions happened and there was a significant rise in sea levels, so the coastal areas were flooded, it wouldn't be bad because the people who had houses there would just sell them and move somewhere else. And I think AIDzee's come back. Are you back? Where are you? What's it doing?
Yeah, bigger and badder than ever. And I'm even centering myself so that I can be seen. Yeah, they just sell their houses and move somewhere else. And you know, people go
this great thing where he showed the clip of Ben Shapiro saying, if the coasts flood, people will just sell their houses. And there's like his wall there, and there's this thump, thump, thump. And he's on the other side of the wall, and he smashes through the wall with an axe, like Jack Nicholson style. Just smash, smash. And when he smashed a hole in the wall, you see he can stick his face through. He sticks his face through, and he goes, sell their houses, Ben! Sell their houses to fucking who? Aquaman?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Sell houses. Yeah. I want to live slightly underwater. Yeah, it'd be really good. There might be a mold problem. I might have to stay on the roof.
There are these videos being circulated of him this week. One where he's going, rap isn't music. Where, you know, I almost wonder, there's no point in even responding to people like him, because all he's doing is sort of shouting to the cheap seats. Like when he starts saying rap isn't music, because he can play the violin. He can he's a reasonable violin player, can play classical music, and he's going, rap isn't music. Oh, that's just pure and simple racism. He's telling the white racists, like, yeah, those black people can't do anything. That's his coding for the white supremacists. And the other, what was the? There's also the, I don't know if you've ever watched him, AIDzee, but Ben Shapiro has this insane thing where he talks bizarrely fast and he's got this weird high-pitched squeaky voice. Like when you watch him, you'd be forgiven for thinking someone had sped the video up to mock him.
Okay.
But it's not. That's just how he talks.
Okay.
And he does this with his head. He's saying, so, the rap music, it's not music, it's not music. No, it's atonal, there's no rhythm, there's no melody, it's not music, it's not music. Except his voice is squeakier than I can't even do the squeaky thing. He does the squeaky thing. Squeaky. And so there's this video circulating him he's saying rap music is music. What was the other thing? The other thing was actually even more. Oh, right. He's saying like that fucking serial rapist Brett Kavanaugh who got put on the US Supreme Court. These claims, and now more claims have come out about him sexually assaulting people. Well, it's like no one's come out and described his penis, so it's not legitimate. Because Stormy Daniels gave a very unflattering description of Donald Trump's penis, saying it looked like Toad from Mario Kart. And yeah, I know, pretty good, right? And famously, back in Bill Clinton's day, one of the women telling stories about him said they could identify Bill Clinton's penis because it had a, I don't know, birthmark or something on it. I don't know. So the idea was Clinton had to whip his dick out. But the weirdest thing was Shapiro saying the people saying what Brett Kavanaugh had done to them wasn't true because no one had described his penis. And it's like, well, dude, for a start, you're saying that the stuff about Trump is true. By that. But second, and I loved it, so many women responded with, God, if this isn't just typical of sad fucking little boys who think their penis is so special, women notice any difference from one to the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hate to point out that you kind of seen one instead of more. You know, there's showers and growers, and you know, at the end of the day, they sort of.
Hi, Chantel. I'm hopefully catching up with Chantel at VidCon on the weekend. We were talking about catching up. So, but okay, it's almost time to go. But you did your showers and growers line. So again, apropos of nothing, I wish to have a little rant at you now. We were joking once. I was saying something about because the absurd variety of porn on the internet, and I was like, I can just move to Japan because you see Japanese porn and the guys have really little dicks. And I could go to Japan and it'd be impressive. And you said you went on the showers, not growers thing. And that's like, because of course the porn stereotypes is black guys have super enormous dicks, because there are certainly some guys in porn who have frighteningly large penises.
Do you know? Go on.
What was no? You do not interrupt me, because this is you've got out. There's a line in there's a drama series that's like dramatizing the porn industry in the 70s, and when this black guy poses nude for a photographer, the photographer's just like, "Whoa, wouldn't like to see that when it's angry." And so the stereotype is black guys have the big dicks, and there are some black guys in porn with frighteningly huge dicks. But when I see these pseudo amateur Japanese ones, the guys all have little dicks, and you said that's because their showers, not growers. They want to grow. No, this is porn. They've got erections. That they're showing as much as they have to show at this. Yes, we all know the joke, like George Costanza in fucking Seinfeld in the cold water. And some women do not know exactly how much a penis can actually shrink to the point of almost withdrawing into the body. And they're showing it. But I just want to point out that, yes, he tried to argue with me that these guys in the porn didn't have really small dicks because they were showers, not growers. But they were already showing. That's the point, AIDzee. They were already showing. Okay.
I also want to point out a thing.
Yes.
All right? Right. And I have some experience with this.
Okay, so AIDzee has more experience with penises than me. So
Well, and I also have a little bit of experience with porn making.
Everybody's
Um,
more experienced with vaginas than me, I think, too. I'm not saying AIDzee's a slut,
I
but
am. I am really, mind you, boss of the house has curbed that.
well, yeah,
Um,
we're both monogamous now, but
yeah, it's been a while. Um, Look, a long time ago, when I was a lot more youthful, I was involved in the porn industry and I was a cleaner. And they used to do two films at once, and they had three different sets for each film. So there were six sets, and they'd do a scene, and then they'd move the cameras to do the next film,
yeah,
fucking video by that point. And then I had to go in and clean the set, and then they'd move the camera again. And what would happen was the actors would get a break
mm,
between each scene. So, what you don't realize is that when you're seeing porn, both people are angled toward you.
yeah,
Okay? So, what it looks like is that these huge, huge dicks and very accommodating vaginas, basically going at it. And really, what's happening is they're basically at a 30-degree angle
yeah.
facing you. No one has sex at that angle. Nobody, right? You're
Americans
straight
in
in there,
particular are very good at the angles.
right? And so then when you go to Japan, they're not quite as angled
Yeah,
as they are over, especially over in America, but here in Australia too, they're cottoned
mm,
onto the process. And basically, unless you're bent,
yeah.
you're not doing that. And also too, people think that it's the same individuals doing the thing. It's not. There's usually three or four guys. Having a go because no one has that kind of stamina.
The
So,
funniest thing I ever saw, the stamina thing. Again, okay. Little side note: both AIDzee and I are old enough that we used to see porn that required a fluffer. This is the
yeah,
pre blue pill days,
mm,
where we didn't have any medication to make an erection last 6 hours. So there was
mm,
someone on set whose sole job was between takes to make sure an erection was being maintained. But
mm,
I remember seeing, and they were both European films where the guy was, about to, and he clearly actually couldn't get it up. And
mm,
there was a bunch of cutaway scenes. And I was wondering, if the guy couldn't get it up, why did they even use him in the scene? Because they're just using cutaways anyway. I thought, but I tweaked at one point. He paid. He paid to be on the set.
yeah,
He actually probably paid for it to be made because it was an ego thing for him to tell his friends he was in a porno. But
mm,
when the pressure to perform came, he couldn't, and he couldn't
mm,
get it up. And they
mm.
used cutaways to show performance.
And what
And
what
I
they
realized he
call
paid
those
for
guys,
it.
they call those guys stuntmen, right? So you see the face of the actor, and then all of a sudden you don't see the face anymore,
Yeah,
and they call the guys who jump in
yeah,
stuntmen. And
yeah,
so usually there's like two or three, four stuntmen hanging around
yeah,
to jump in and do the thing, because having sex for 8 hours a day is kind of a tall order. They have a 2 hour lunch break. Um, but it's kind of tricky. And
yeah.
being a cleaner is a bastard job because you got to
Yes,
clean fast. You know,
yes.
people at the time were saying, "Oh, it's cool. You get to see a lot of porn." No, I get to
That's
see a lot of
yeah. I was about to say
couches
when you're
and a
actually
lot of
working in
beds.
it,
Hey,
far less sexy when you're working in it.
no, very not sexy. You've got like a big apron on, big gloves, and a bucket of chlorine something. I don't know
Yeah,
how these actors deal with it, but you've got to wash everything down, then dry everything down, and then move on to the next set.
yeah.
And for the first couple of weeks, I was just late and they were screaming at me. And then after a while, I got into a rhythm and I could clean really fast. AIDzee, would you say being a male porn star is a hard job? Ah, Fox of Fate. That's a good pun.
Finish with the pun. Yeah.
Not really, because you've got backup, and also too, if they're a lot of movies, when they're very cheap, are done in one room, and they're very teasy, so that you actually see most of the time they're talking, then they take their clothes off, and then they get into it, but you're getting 5 minutes of that, and then the film's over. It's not very hard, and also, the thing is, they don't have massive dicks. It's all camera tricks. They say the camera puts 10 pounds on you. If you've got a camera angle that's a different forced perspective, you can make anything look huge.
Yes.
It's all angles and smoke and mirrors. It's all just film tricks, and
Forced perspective is the oldest trick in the book. Frodo Baggins wasn't really that little, and Gandalf wasn't really that big. They were much closer inside. But anyway, look, it is 10 o'clock. I'm going to go to bed. I did know Choking on Ashes is recommending a book by a guy, Terrell Aaron Kloss. If you want a present for the gay guy in your life, get Terrell Aaron Kloss's book. Okay.
What's the book called?
Yeah, that was like with not much preamble. I don't know what that is. But I'm going to head on into the evening and sleepy bobos.
I'm going to learn Python and stop researching our
Jim.
friend Jim.
I think we had enough, Jim. Basically, to know, Jim's eugenics is the future.
Jim's eugenics is the future. Don't worry about gays. They're going. The rainbow flag is going to become a thing of the past, and it's going to burn with the gays that are left.
Yes.
2,000 years of tradition is not over. Burning gays with no hair. Let's keep doing. That's what faggot comes from. The little bits of wood that helped those filthy heretics burn. The thing I was going to say was probably next week we're going to start the series of how to pick up chicks. Bow chicka wow wow. As per AIDzee, it's going to be 5-minute slots of how to pick up chicks, and it's called The Beast. Ooh.
That sounds good, doesn't it? A book for the gay man in your life, The Beast, by Terrell Aaron Kloss.
All right. I'll check that out on the Amazons. Gonna start. They're gonna be like sort of 5-minute things on how to pick up chicks. How to pick up guys is the same shit.
Yes, it works both ways. Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna strip away 5 minutes, and I'm gonna talk about that. Don't know how long the series is gonna be, but it's gonna cover pretty much everything. And looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for letting us be on your devices. It's really nice. Thanks for joining us. It was really cool.
Yeah, we'll see you again. So you're all awesome. We look forward to seeing you again soon. But we'll say bye for now.
Bye for now. See you.